Are you tired of thinking about drinking, trying to control it, and ending up in the same loop? Welcome to the Feel Good Alcohol Free podcast, where high achieving women learn how to step out of the stop start cycle and build a life that feels calm, clear, and alcohol free on purpose. I'm your host, Lindsay Hennekey, accredited sober coach and former high functioning drinker. After more than a decade of drinking every night while keeping up a big career and a life that looked fine from the outside, I rebuilt my identity from the inside out. Now I help women stop negotiating with themselves and trust their own decisions again. This isn't a podcast full of cliches or willpower pep talks. You're getting real conversations, lived experience coaching, and practical tools you can use inside your actual life, not perfect conditions. So take a breath. You're here because you're ready to feel good in your real life. So let's get started. If I had even a penny for every single time I said I was going to have just one glass and then had a whole bottle, I would be retired by now, I think. This is what we're talking about today. I love this topic. We think that I could just have one glass, and it's that thing that I spent so many years trying to do until I realized it's a lot easier to just not have anything at all. And that one glass that I so desperately wanted to try to have was just like not even a thing. It wasn't worth it. There was no value to it. And when I was able to finally start to see that is when I let go of it. We have this version of drinking. It's as a glass of wine being harmless and sophisticated and totally normal. And it shows up like having a glass of wine after work, or one drink while making dinner, or a glass out on the patio because the sun is shining. It's like a little treat because you had a long day and you deserve it, that whole reward loop. This is why when you are a high functioning woman, this gets to be a little tricky, a little convoluted even, because we know that it's not about it starting with something really bad. And it starts with something that seems really innocent. It's culturally approved. It's on all of the TV shows and all of the movies that we watch. And it also is something that has been presented to us as self-care. But the thing is that alcohol is designed for you to drink more. It is an addictive substance. What often starts as maybe a glass of wine occasionally or one, drink occasionally is a progression into something that your brain just constantly is telling you to reach for because it's the quickest path to relief. For so many women, myself included, this just one glass habit does not stay just one glass. It becomes that progression. When we are high achieving, we are go-getters, and we don't catch it early because our life is still intact. We are not women who are having these big rock bottoms in our lives and we're high functioning, which means we're still showing up for work all the time. We're still taking care of our families. We're not missing a beat. Our bills are still paid. Our house is beautiful. Like, we have all of this amazingness and things that we've worked really hard for in our lives. And so we don't really put a lot of weight on the fact that that one glass has maybe now turned into a daily drinking habit where it's multiple glasses or, more than a bottle, because we're still showing up. We're still hitting all these deadlines. Like, nothing is getting missed. So this logic starts to become, well, I'm still getting it all done. So this isn't really a problem for me. And this was what kept me in this drinking cycle for so long, because I was succeeding at work. Everything was going fine. I had a great marriage. I have a great marriage. The thing is, though, functioning and getting it all done and feeling good are not the same thing. And when I look back and I think about how I was actually treating myself after drinking, a lot more than just one glass, it's like, why would I want to do that to myself? Why would I want to feel that way? Why would I want to wake up and the very first thoughts that I had of the day were, oh my God, why did I do that? Like, that doesn't feel good. So, functioning and living well are, different things. Functioning and getting it all done can hide a lot in the background. From the outside, nobody knew that I was waking up every day hating myself. This is where we stay so stuck for so long. And it's also why just one glass escalates. The issue is not that you don't have enough willpower or something to only have one glass. The issue is that alcohol is an addictive substance, and an addictive substance works like pairing it with relief or reward or transition or that final, like, I'm going to relax at the end of the day, adulthood, connection, or pleasure. Your brain starts to expect it. Like, that's how an addictive substance works. And over time, you have maybe started in a place of, yeah, I'm just having a glass of wine after work. That slowly becomes, this is how I end my day. This is how I switch off. This is how I relax. This is how I reward myself. This is what I do when I'm finally alone. And once that wiring deepens, this one drink is, you already know how the story goes. It's rarely just one drink. We have normalized drinking for women in a way that makes this escalation easy to miss, because again, everybody on the outside is seeing a version of you who's doing great. It's like we have this wine after work, and then we have wine during book club, and we have wine on girls' night, and we have wine maybe on the sidelines of your kids' sports, wine in the Stanley Cup. Like, it's, this mom wine culture. I always say, I'm like, there was a time in my life, a lot of my drinking was related to this fact that I couldn't have children. I was just dwelling on this. And now that I've quit drinking, I often say, like, the reason why I was not blessed with children is because I would have probably been worse. I would have been full on mommy wine culture. Like, I know it. I would have been the ringleader. I would have been like sitting outside at the bus stop with margaritas with the neighbors waiting for the kids to get dropped off. Like, I just know that that would have been me. The universe has a plan for us, and we should not dwell on what we think should be happening in our lives that isn't working out, because I truly, truly believe that I probably would have been worse off in drinking culture if I had had children. I see how hard you moms work, and I don't know how you do it. So that's the thing. The wine becomes a symbol of relaxation and a reward after all these things. And it doesn't stop there. It's like, it's because you made it through a Monday. It's because you work so hard. It's because you deserve it. So of course, we start questioning ourselves. We start thinking, like, how come I'm the problem? Why can't I just have one? Like, gosh, it seems like my friends are drinking normally. Why can't I drink like them? Why can't I just have one glass? But when an addictive substance is wrapped in this language that we're talking about around reward and self-care and connection and, basically adulthood, it gets really hard for us to see clearly, because our brain, like, we've literally been conditioned to see it this way. I want to talk about one of my one-on-one clients. She's 8.5 months alcohol free, and we still work together. We meet once a month now, and we were just talking about it, and she really captured this whole thing so well. She was talking about wanting to go sit at a restaurant in the sunshine and have a glass of wine while doing a little bit of like phone administration, like catching up on some emails and some messages. This is an example of something that I used to do all the time when I was still drinking, but on the surface, it sounds really harmless. It sounds really normal. It sounds just so grown up, like to go to, a bar with a patio when the sun is out and, just catch up on a little work, nothing high stakes, some of those low lift tasks, and have a couple glasses of wine. But when she really slowed down and started to talk about this out loud, she was like, Lindsay, I wouldn't just have one. And she could already see this whole chain of events that was going to happen. She said that if she had gone and had that wine, she probably would have had two really quickly. And that actually was something that stood out to me because it's true. It's like, I would just drink so much faster. And she said she probably would have bought more on the way home and hidden it. You know, she didn't want her daughter to see that. I know that you're probably nodding along right now because this story is so many of our stories. She said, I would have been slurring. I would have embarrassed my daughter in front of her friend. And she knew she would not have wanted to stop there. And so this is what you really need to hear. If you have had these thoughts or seen yourself with this scenario, you're not alone. We have this feeling or this desire to make it happen that we think that that first glass of wine is going to unlock. She said something so specific. And so, okay, punchline. She went to the restaurant. She did her phone admin and she ordered a bottle of San Pellegrino and she drank that. And she realized the actual experience of doing that wasn't worse without the wine. And it would not have been any better with the wine. The only thing that would have changed was the aftermath. Like, this was the best part as I was listening to her talk. She's like, the aftermath would have been so much worse. And this is the part that we're not considering. We're glamorizing the, 30 minutes, the 1 hour that having just one glass looks like. We are not following the path that it leads to because our brains are wired for that instant gratification. So we have to play that tape forward, just like she did. And when she realized that, she was like, I'm so proud of myself. So let's talk about something. We're going to call it today the frozen moment fantasy. We get attached to this frozen moment fantasy, this 1 hour of sitting on a patio and drinking a glass of wine. And it's that image, maybe you're sitting at a beautiful restaurant, you're having tapas, a glass of wine, you're looking relaxed, super polished, adult-like you just totally have your life together. But now think about this. That image is frozen. It stops at the time you order a second drink. Before the stop at the store on the way home, before the bad sleep, before the 3 a.m. wake up, before the anxiety, the self-loathing, the negotiation starting the next day. That fantasy freezes the one tiny part that looks appealing and cuts the whole rest of the story off. And that's exactly why it keeps this grip over us. It's exactly why we hold on to the idea and this belief that we can at some point just have one glass. We are especially vulnerable to this because we're often carrying a ridiculous amount of pressure. If you're listening to this podcast, if you've been following me for a while, my guess is that you are a high achieving woman, just like me, and high functioning and goal-oriented, always raising the bar on yourself. And so this means that we have a ridiculous amount of pressure on us, maybe overthinking, overperforming, overfunctioning, holding all the things together and trying to do it well, and also maybe trying to make it look easy and not need too much. We don't want to ask for help. We're used to being able to achieve things and solve problems on our own. But this is what's led alcohol to look like relief for us. Like, it's this reward. It's that fastest route out of the intensity of each day, the back-to-back meetings, all of the decisions that you're making all day long, the people relying on you to make those decisions and to make the right one. And this drinking isn't because we are like irresponsible. It's because we're tired, we're depleted. And the culture that we live in keeps telling us that this is normal. It's not. Just because culture or society, whatever, tells you something is normal doesn't mean that you have to do it. The real cost here is not always obvious because, again, from the outside, we look like we are fine. We're doing great. everything's getting done. The lists are getting written and checked off. So the thing is we have to look at the mental load around thinking about drinking. How much time do you spend thinking about having just one glass and negotiating with yourself, planning around it, wondering maybe tonight will be the night I just have one glass, and then waking up disappointed and losing trust in yourself? We have this emotional cost from disappointing ourselves over and over again, and it's causing more anxiety. We have less patience. We have a lot of shame. We're not as steady. And then we have this physical cost. We have our appearance, weight gain, bags under our eyes. We have sleep disruption, brain fog, inflammation, feeling disconnected from people, from your own life. It's an identity cost because you have the version of yourself that you kind of know is under there, but you haven't really actually felt like that version of yourself in a long time. That was me. I had what I thought I was, but then the reality was I was spending a lot of time on my couch drinking and not actually living the way I thought that I lived. It was kind of bizarre. And the more automatic this comes, the more we start to wonder, why can't I just take it or leave it? Or why am I still doing this to myself? How long am I going to let this go on? I used to wake up saying, how long am I going to think that this is acceptable? To wake up feeling like garbage and looking in the mirror, hating myself. How long am I going to do that for? When I realized that I was actually the only one who could change that, that's when I was like, God, it's not my fault. It wasn't my fault. And it's not your fault that you are where you're at. Okay. There's a book, I can't remember what book it's from, but it says this isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to change, and you're the only one who can do it. And so once I realized that and started to give myself pep talks from that angle, I was able to start changing. We've reached this point where we're like, why does this drink, why does this have so much control over me? And it's because we're wired to believe that it's sophisticated, that it's normal to have a glass of wine. But I promise you, it's not. So let's look at this in a different perspective. I want you to phrase this in a way that is not, can I get away with drinking? But the better question to ask yourself here is, what does drinking lead to for me? What does having just one glass lead to? And this is where you can just be so much more honest with yourself because you're not kidding yourself. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing that you are somebody who doesn't have just one glass. So what does the first sip feel like is not what you want to focus on, because that's not the reality. That's that frozen image. You know what I mean? That we were just talking about. It's, what does this lead to for me? Once you start answering that question, things start to become very, very clear, because you cannot deny the data that you already have around your drinking. Odds are you already have enough information about your relationship with alcohol to know that you are never going to be a just one glass kind of person. I spent, I don't know, 5-7 years trying to have just one glass. Maybe that sounds like you too. I spent a lot of time trying to have just one glass, and it just never happened. Every single time it led to more, because even if there was the off occasion that I thought I was proving to myself, I can have just one glass. And I mean, we're talking maybe I had a Monday night where I was probably very hungover from the weekend and I poured a glass of wine and then took a shower and went to bed early. Maybe that, but is that really an example of me having just one glass? No, I would be kidding myself if I was going to use that as I can do this. I can just have one glass. Really answering this honestly, how much data do you have that says that you are able to drink one glass? And then look at what happens. Just make a list of everything that happens when you don't have just one glass, like when it leads to. So write down in the last week how many times you said you were going to have one glass, but didn't. It ended up being more, and be honest with yourself. And then write down what happened after. Everything, a bulleted list. Maybe that looks like, oh, I stayed up too late binge watching television and finished the bottle. I slept like crap. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I tossed and turned. I skipped my morning workout. I hit snooze 5 times. Didn't wake up until the last possible moment to get in the shower and get ready for work that day. Dragged myself through the morning trying to feel more human again. Beat myself up. Promised myself today would be different. You know what I mean? Like, make that whole list, because that's really what you're trying to solve for. You don't want that, and you can change it. It's not your fault that you got here. Alcohol is designed to get you addicted, but it is your responsibility to step up for yourself and show up for yourself and change it. You know, I love to give you an assignment this week, this time, whenever the thought pops up, I'm just going to have one glass. I want you to slow things down, and I want you to write these 2 items down, these 2 questions. First, what am I actually wanting right now? Do you want relief? Do you want reward? Do you want comfort? Do you want a break to check out, something to look forward to? Write down what it is that you are actually wanting. Second, if I follow this all the way through, where does it lead for me? And not the fantasy version of you pouring a glass of wine while you make dinner and then not having any more. Like the real version. That's what I want you to do. You have to be really honest with yourself. And the more you paint this out, you will see that there is no point in holding on to this fantasy or this idea of having just one glass. If you think about how much mental math and energy and headspace it has taken, or you have spent doing this for all these years, like, that is not freedom. That is a part-time job, maybe even a full-time job of thinking about drinking all the time. And you get to just like put that aside when you let go of the idea of having just one glass. I want this to just be information for you, and you don't need this like spectacular, massive rock bottom for alcohol to be taking up too much space in your life. You get to pay attention sooner than that happens. Like, stop it now before it gets worse. Like I said, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. You get to like be honest and truthful with yourself before things get worse. And you get to make these changes from a place of self-love and self-respect, not because you're in crisis, not because you had a huge blowout with your husband, or because, you got a bad review at work. Like, you get to do this from a place of self-respect and self-love. So I see you if you're in this place. I lived in it for so many years, and I want you to know it's changeable. You can fix this, but only you can fix it. So if you're tired of this mental tug of war and you're tired of managing this on your own, and you're ready to become the version who no longer needs alcohol to relax at the end of the day, to take the edge off, this is what we do inside Feel Good AF. This is what I help my clients overcome every day, keeping promises, rewiring the brain so that just one glass is no longer appealing and not what you're striving for anymore. You're striving for showing up, living in a way that feels good. You're striving for better health. You're striving for being sharper at work. You want clarity. You want to be more present with people. When you want to know the conversation and not have like the mental math running in the back of your brain while you're trying to talk to somebody about how much wine you can have later. Really be truthful with yourself. You can always book a discovery call with me if you want to learn exactly what our work together would look like. If you still have questions, we can do that, or just head to my website and sign up, because your life is going to be completely different in only the best ways. Forget about having just one glass. and think about what it is that you really, really need. I can't wait to see you next week. If this episode landed for you, it would mean a lot if you left a review or take a quick screenshot of it and share it on social media. That's how this show reaches more women who are ready to stop living in the drinking loop and start leading themselves with confidence again. I'm on a mission to change the way high-achieving women think about alcohol, because you don't need more willpower or more rules around your drinking. You need real support, real tools, and the truth about what's actually possible for you. So keep showing up for yourself, keep telling the truth about what you want. And remember, the life you want isn't found in a glass or a bottle of wine. It's built in the decisions that you can stand behind, the ones that you feel really good about. My DMs are always open, and I can't wait to get to know you better. I will see you next week in the next episode.